Okay, we are still on chapter 2, Pawn Structure Chess by Andrew Soltis. We are watching this Slav formation, and now we are discussing a plan invented by Chigorin, who was practically the patriarch of the Russian chess, the one that fought against Stanis but wasn't able to win. Here it says, Chigorin E5 plan. The Tsarist era master Mikhail Chigorin often found himself in a position similar to one we consider in the last chapter, after, say, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, e3, c6. This is called maybe also the triangle Slav. So, and I think one of the grandmaster in Chess Base made a DVD only about this formation. So it's a way in case you want to deepen your knowledge. Bishop d3, knight bd7, knight f3, bishop d6, castle, castle, and now there is e4. This is a very, very important move which happens all the time, and so why I'm showing you this? Because in reality, you know, if you are not prepared, you will lose a lot of time at the board in the opening saying, should I take here? Should I take there? What should I do? No? Should I move this? You don't know. Instead, if you study a manual of pawn structures like this one, you will know what to do. Here it says, the addition of castling is significant because black need not to play d takes e4, which reaches a Caro formation after knight takes e4. Instead, Chigorin shows that at this point you play d takes e4, so pay attention to this pawn structure, because that's what you need to remember. Bishop takes e4, and now you play e5. Okay? Why this is good? Because the king is not in the center anymore, it's already castle. If it was here, it wouldn't be good. Okay? So that's the important part of all this idea. No? Because practically you would open the position, take, let's say that the king was here, right? Take, then you exchange the queens. When the king gets back, this one goes to take f7. Now you cannot do it. So that's the reason why. No? But let's see that there is a modern example here of how black pieces play accelerates after 9e5. It was played in Lautier Anand in London 1995. How did it continue? White played bishop g5 and black continued with queen e7. Then after rook e1 he played e takes d4, knight takes d4, knight e5, bishop f1 and bishop c5. And here you have a diagram that says white to play. What should white play in this position? Of course, guys, I cannot show you from both sides, and sometimes it's important, and the author asks you about your opponent, in this case white, because you must know also the plan that white will play. Because if you don't know that plan, you don't know nothing in reality, okay? So, white played a mistake, and the mistake was knight a4. Why this was a mistake? Because of this, bishop g4. And you can think, oh, but wait a minute, I can play this, right? No, you can't. Because if you play that move, you know what happens? It happens this. Bishop takes f3. G takes f3. And at this point you get, boom, bishop takes d4. What do? If you take here, you have lost your queen. Can you imagine? So, a little move, and Lautier, by the way, Lautier was one of the top grandmasters. I think he also beat Kasparov. He was a junior world champion or something, or he got his grandmaster title in 1995. So both times was years earlier compared to today. He was clearly someone who worked very hard on his game. Okay. Now, let me tell you what happened and how did he continue the game, so you can see the end practically for what matters to us, which is the pawn structure. So in this position, black just played bishop c5, and obviously he's preparing a pin, to which white played this. But after this move, we know that we cannot play this, okay? So what did the white play? White played queen d2. But of course, here there is another problem, because after this, and rook a d8, white soon lost a piece in the game, right? Because after he made this was the other move played, right? However, now let's see another possibility at the 12th move, okay? So I will go a little back because the author, Grandmaster Soltis, make an interesting example that I hope you will be interested in watching. Okay, now let's start to see the moves from the beginning, because it's also a way to memorize them. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6. So this would be the normal Queen's Gambit, the Queen's Gambit not accepted practically. But after e3, c6, bishop d3, knight bd7, knight f3, bishop d6, castle, castle, white plays e4, right? And here we see that the right move to play is this, okay? And then there is this, e5. Now, after bishop g5 and queen e7, we have here another situation that happens. Let's see if we can find it. Rook e1. Allora, here he says, an alternative situation arises when black passes up e takes d4 in favor of rook d8. And white replies d5, okay? So what we are going to see now is that black doesn't take here, but he plays rook d8, okay? And white replies with d5. It is tempting for black to exchange pawns on d5, but after c takes d5, knight takes d5, white pieces swarm, so they attack, and pushing his c-pawn to c5 in such a position is double-edged, as a supplemental game number 1 shows. So there is also a supplemental game that proves the point. The counterintuitive lesson here, and that's why, again, you need to learn about pawn structure, because you cannot recreate the wheel. If you remember this pawn structure, you remember what do you have to do and what do you have to let white do, okay? he says that black can allow d takes c6, b takes c6 because keeping the minor pieces off of d5, so to keep control on d5, is much more important than the weakness created by an isolated c pawn. Okay, so after 12 d5, black should begin Chigorin attacking plan. h6, bishop h4, knight f8. And here it says, for example, Friedman, Fresinet, Ayaccio, 2007, continue with d takes c6. So as you can see, Soltis is coherent, is showing you what you should do in that situation, which is much more important than memorizing opening moves. B takes c6, queen c2, bishop g4, knight d2. Notice that now he controls this, right? Knight g6, attacking this, bishop g3, attacking again with knight h5, knight f1, and knight f4. So he was able to enter in white's territory and take control of that outpost. Here it says, it may seem that white stood well after knight e3, bishop e6, knight f5, queen f6, bishop f1, bishop b4, rook ed1. But then came h5, f3, bishop c5 check, king h1, h4, bishop e1, bishop d4, knight e2, and now there is knight takes c2, bishop takes e2, and c5, and black had the initiative. Here Soltis show also the end of the game, so we can see how do you actually go from the initiative to winning the game, because probably for us, differently from Fresinet, it's needed to have such an example, right? Okay, so let's see how we continue. Rook a c1, bishop takes f5, e takes f5, knight f4, bishop f1, queen g5, b3. So as you can see, they always try to control the square in front of the isolated pawn to avoid that it start to fly, no? Right? Knight h5, queen e4, and of course now if you're black, try to guess what is the next move, okay? Because after all you also need to do a little effort. So what do you think black would play in this position? Obviously the move is knight g3 check. Why? Because if you take on g3 you're going to get checkmated. Try to remember that this is controlling this, and so the next is that. So he played bishop take g3, h take g3, h3, but white lost after a5, bishop c4, a4, kind of minority attack, rook f1, a takes b3, bishop takes b3, rook a6. Obviously he wants to go there and do the final kill. Rook c e1, rook h6, and here there is a mistake by white, that is f4, e takes f4, queen takes f4, and of course now there is finally rook takes h3, after which g takes h3, g2, king h2. Here you see something you never saw in a real game, which is an under promotion, right, to a knight instead of a queen, because it gives check. After which white takes, and of course the final move, boom boom, and the game is over, right? Beautiful game. Thank you for watching, guys, and we will show more games from this beautiful book in the future. Thank you.